this is Jo from Maths Tutor Me. Today we're doing some special products and specifically we're looking at perfect squares. So if you were with me last lesson, we did some binomial expansions, and with any type of question where you're expanding where you have two brackets, you can always resort to the method of using FOIL that we learned last lesson. But particularly for people in the higher levels of maths, it is important to do your questions as quickly as you can to have as much time in your test as possible. So this is a bit of a shortcut to help you expand perfect square questions. So we have some formulas here. If I have x plus y, which is just two things added in the brackets, all squared, okay, so that's what a perfect square is. If you have the same thing multiplied by itself, which can be written like this, something squared, it can be expanded to be x squared plus 2xy plus y squared. In other words, it is the first thing squared plus 2 times by both of the things times together plus the second thing squared. Alright, let's do it again for this. When we have a minus sign, that simply expands to x times x, the first thing squared, x squared, minus 2 lots of the two things times together, plus the second one times by itself. The reason that becomes a plus is because a negative and a negative will become a positive again. So, using those formulas, I can find some missing terms here for this expansion. If I want to expand y minus 3 all squared, okay, following this formula here, I've got the second and third term. I just need to find the missing first term. So this term is just the first thing times by itself. So it's y times y, which is y squared. Okay, in the second question, I've got the first term. I'm actually after the middle term in the expansion. So to get that, when I'm adding, it needs to be 2 lots of both things times together. So I like to times them first. So I'm going to times 2 times 5w. 2 times 5w is 10w. And then I need to times that by 2 or double it. So doubling 10w makes 20w. And then my last term is already there for me. So in the question 3 here, I want to expand and simplify. What I might do is I might show you the old way of expanding and then show you how that relates to the shortcut. So if I was to expand this like we did last lesson, we would have the two brackets next to each other, t plus 4 squared means t plus 4, and another bracket of t plus 4. That's another way that you can write that. And then we could expand that using first, which is the first things times together. T times t is t squared. Outside is t times 4, which is 4t. Inside, which is 4 times t. And last, 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, so that will become t squared plus 4t, and 4t makes 8t plus 16. So because this is a perfect square, these middle two terms are always going to be the same. And that is why it is really just timesing those two terms, those two things in there together and doubling it, because you're going to have two of them. Okay, so you can see, hopefully you can see how that formula works. Okay, if you're ever stuck in a test, you can always resort back to doing this method. But today our lesson is on learning this perfect square shortcut. So from now on, let's focus on trying to use our shortcut method. So in question 4, to expand, we do first thing times by itself. So f times f is f squared. Okay, then we're going to have a minus sign because we have a minus sign here. Then it's going to be 2 lots of these things times together. So let's times them. If we times those, we get 2f. And then I need to double that to get 4f. And the last term will be 2 times 2, which is 4. So first one squared, twice the middle, and last one squared. Let's do question 5. First we do x times x is x squared. Then we're going to have a minus sign, so it's going to be minus, times the middle, these two together, x times y is xy, and double that, or 2 times that, will be 2xy. And then y times y is y squared. Done. Okay, let's do it again. 2k times 2k, 2 times 2 is 4k squared, times the 2 terms together makes 10k or minus 10k, and double it will be minus 20k. And then last times last, 5 times 5 is 25. Question 7. First times first, 7 times 7 is 49d squared. Then we times these together, which would be 7d times 1 is 7d, and we times that by 2, which becomes 14d. And then 1 times 1 is 1. Question 8. 3a times 3a is 9a squared. Then we need to times these together to get 6ab, and double that will become minus 12ab. And last one times by itself, 2b times 2b is a positive 4b squared. Alright, let's turn over the page. Okay, so it's time for you to have a practice. These questions are just like the ones that we just did. So if you pause the video, you can try these questions and then go through the answers again with me when you turn the video back on. Alright, let's do the answers. So we just want to find the missing term in these first 2 questions here. So we are after the last term, and that will be 4 times 4, which is 16. In the second question, we're after the middle term. To find the middle term, we need to times these 2 things together. So 3b times 7 is minus 21b, and we need to times that by 2 again to make minus, with the minus is already there, 42b. Okay, now from question 3 onwards, we need to do all of the expansion. So for question 3, we do c times c is c squared. Then we do 5 times c and double it. So 5 times c is 5c, double that is 10c. And then we do the 5 times by itself, 5 5s are 25. That's it. Question 4, we times the first thing by itself, f times f is f squared. Times both things together, f times minus 9 is minus 9f, and then we have to double that to be minus 18f. And then we do the last thing, the minus 9 times minus 9 makes a positive 81. In question 5, 3g times 3g is 9g squared. Then we times the 2 things together, 3g times 1 is minus 3g, and then we have to double that to become minus 6g. And then minus 1 times minus 1 is a positive 1. Okay, question 6, doing it again. 2h times 2h, 2 times 2 is 4h squared. Times both terms together, 2h times 7 is 14h. And we double that to be 28h. And then 7 times 7 is 49. Question 7, last question. 5j times 5j is 25j squared. Times them both together. 5 times 2 is minus 10jk, and then we need to double that, which would be minus 20jk. And then minus 2k times minus 2k makes a positive 4k squared. All finished. Hopefully you're starting to get that, starting to make sense. The more you practice, the easier it will get. Hopefully it will get to be repetitive for you, which means that it's starting to become a bit easier for you. So keep practicing that, and I will see you next time. Bye.